Welcome to this video on AI for writing. Today we're going to show you how you can use ChatGPT to request feedback on your writing so that you can make it even better. So let's switch over now to ChatGPT. So let's imagine the following scenario. So you're a graphic designer and you've just finished writing a blog post, which is for your company's website. So the blog post is called The Importance of White Space in Graphic Design. So now that you've finished writing that blog post, you're thinking to yourself, are the key messages that I want to get across, are those clear? And does the tone feel right? And also, is the language engaging enough for my target audience? So if those are some of the questions that you're asking yourself, why not ask ChatGPT to help you? So to get the most constructive feedback, it's really, really important to provide the right background information to ChatGPT first. So we're going to do that with this prompt that I'm just about to type in. So what information do you need from me to provide effective feedback on a blog post I've written? Okay, and we are then going to press enter. Okay, so lots of things there. So the first one goes without saying is the blog post itself. So we're going to copy and paste that in a moment into this box here. So we also need, what is the goal or the purpose? So is it to inform? Is it to persuade? What is the objective there? And also as well, this is where you can put in things like, what are your key messages? So are there particular key goals or key purposes that you have or messages that you really want to get across in this blog post? So you're going to need to include those as well. Then when we look at our target audience, so who is it? So here it could be content creators, it could be marketers, it could be clients, it could be people that don't know anything at all about graphic design. But it's very, very important that you establish who your target audience is, because that could change the complete style and tone of your blog post completely. So it's important to establish that from the get-go. Then things like tone and style intentions. So what kind of a tone are we aiming for? Again, is it professional? Is it for people maybe involved in the industry already? Or is it more of a conversational, more of a reflective kind of a tone? You're also going to want to establish that. And then things like the specific feedback areas. So things like clarity and flow are going to be important, structure and formatting, grammar and style. So say, for instance, that you make mistakes when you are writing, and those mistakes are usually grammar mistakes. And maybe you want to make sure that you don't make those mistakes in this blog post. So you can let ChatGPT know that you wanted to pay particular attention to grammar and style. It could also be maybe structure and formatting could be maybe a challenge for you. So you want to make sure that the structure is logical and that it has a really, really nice flow. So that is the blog post there. It's about 500 words or so. And I'm also going to pop in the background information that we want to give ChatGPT. So I'm going to press Shift and Enter again. So I'm going to put that information in now. So here I have established that my target audience is aspiring designers, marketers, and content creators. So the purpose of this is going to be to show why white space matters and why more isn't always better when we think about design. So I want a nice reflective tone. I want it to be informal. I don't want it to be too wordy. And these are some of the key messages that I want to get across. So white space guides the eye and reduces clutter. Good design means knowing when to hold back. So that's just a couple of examples of the kinds of messages that I want to get across. And then the length is going to be about 500 words. And my particular concerns are with spelling, grammar, structure, and just general readability. So once I've put that information in, I now want to actually give my prompt to ChatGPT. So provide constructive feedback on my blog post using all background information I gave you above as context. So, and I've just given here things like the target audience, purpose and goal, etc. So that is essentially my prompt. And so I'm going to press enter now. Okay, so we've got a really nice, clear outline of feedback. It's really well structured, so we can figure out, what is working well in terms of the purpose and the audience, the tone and the style. But also as well, we are given some suggestions for improvement as well. Um, and also as well, readability and clarity. It's given us some very, very specific examples here. We've got some grammar and minor edits. So these are all things that you can have a look, and maybe you don't necessarily agree with all of the suggestions, but there may very well be a lot of suggestions that you can take on board yourself. Yeah, so that is just kind of a general outline of that feedback. So let's have a look at it in a little bit more detail. So generally speaking, we have lots of good feedback here. So we're told that our language is clear and very accessible. We've been told as well that we've nailed the educational tone without sounding too preachy. The examples that we have given are relatable and digestible for beginners. And we have repeated and reinforced in different ways the message of less can be more. So that's great. Then when it comes to the conversational style, um, the feedback here is that it is perfect for our audience. The short and varied sentence lengths kind of gives the blog a little bit of rhythm. And we avoid using jargon and explain terms like negative space quite clearly. So that's really good. So that's all that's working well. Then when we move down to the suggestions for improvement, these suggestions here are mainly concerned with the structure and the flow of the piece. So they're saying that the post feels like a series of reflections. This works because the tone is meditative, but adding a bit more structure would strengthen the message. So it's giving us suggestions here. So why it matters more than you think. So in other words, we could use subtle subheadings to create signposts for the reader. And these are some of the suggestions that it gives us. So readability and clarity, um, there's just really here a few small tweaks that they would make if it was them that was writing the blog. Um, and again, you don't have to take on board all of these suggestions, but again, there's likely to be a few there that you think are good and you want to take on board. Then when it comes to grammar and minor edits, um, let's take one example here. So the original was, but something that often gets overlooked is white space. It might not seem important at first glance, but it plays a big role in how a design looks and feels overall. So it has suggested the following improvement. So, but one element that often gets overlooked is white space. It might not seem important at first, but it plays a big role in how a design looks and feels. Okay, so that is their suggestion, and I think the flow of the language is better, and I think it is a nicer suggestion. So yes, you can go through all of these and uh, find out which ones you want to keep and which ones you want to disregard. Then number 4 here, call to action ending. So it's saying that our ending is reflective, but that we might want to add a subtle call to action or takeaway for aspiring designers. So the suggestion that it has given us is good design isn't just about what you add, it's also about what you leave out. Try experimenting with white space in your next project and see how it changes the feel. So you could write something like that, maybe put it into your own words, so that you have that stronger call to action. So that is an example of how ChatGPT can offer useful, actionable feedback. So now it's up to us to review all of these suggestions in more detail and decide which ones we are going to take on board. Thank you for watching. And don't forget to check out our other videos on www.adultdyslexiahub.ie.